All right, I think we can start now. We have almost 20 people joining our session. Sadly, we cannot see you, but thank you all for participating. Hello, everyone. My name is Ahmed Sufyan Begum. I work as a regional manager for Techstars in the Middle East and Africa. I'm a entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur myself. Worked with a lot of programs and initiatives and worked in a couple of research investigating the entrepreneurship during the conflict zone, just like countries like Syria, and also for refugees community, especially in the Middle East and Europe. I'm very pleased to be your host today for this session. I'll be moderating this conversation that we're talking about online business coaching, especially with the time of COVID-19 as a part of this conference hosted by Spark and Al-Fanar to introduce rebuilding futures. I'm very happy to have today with me the concert guests and very nice speakers that I would love to introduce. Starting with Elif Sanjak, she's the managing partner at Itaham and Startup Istanbul. We also have Mr. Mehmet Ouiti, principal of general economy of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. And last but not least, we have Salim Najjar. He's a serial entrepreneur and advisor at the World Bank. He's also Syrian, based on Jordan in Amman. I'm very happy to have you all. I would love maybe to start this conversation by giving you the floor to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your work, and also maybe start with answering also one question: how do you spend your time in quarantine? Was it tough? If there's any new habits that you get in this, and if you'd like to start.
Okay. Okay, Shay, let me start. First of all, thank you for hosting this panel today, Ahmed. It's been nice meeting you again. And also, I thank Spark for organizing this digital event. I know how hard these days to gather people, as we are all a bit Zoom fatigue of online meetings also. So I'm the managing partner of Atom and Startup Istanbul. Atom is the leading seed investor and also accelerator located in Istanbul. I live in London for a couple of months and I work from here. And at Atom, we have been working remotely for the last 2 years. So we haven't changed any working structure actually as a team after this COVID situation. But still, we had to cancel our April event, Startup Istanbul, which was supposed to have done in April. We are expecting to do it in October, hopefully. And as A2Home and Startup Istanbul, we have received more than 200,000 startup applications in the last 2 years from more than 150 countries. We receive applications mainly from Turkey, Middle East, Africa, and also Asian countries. And Turkey is like among our one of top 10 countries, but is not the biggest one. So we can say that it became really international as an event. And so in each event, actually, we are selecting 100 startups and they are pitching to investors, to companies, to mentors. And it's like also a mini acceleration program too. And as my self background also, I used to be an entrepreneur before A2Home. So I know how hard it is to be an entrepreneur and how much they struggle actually to survive. That's why I'll be happy to share my thoughts about these situations, COVID situations, and how they can deal with that. And about the corona lockdown times, I'm pregnant right now for 7 months, so it's time. It's a good time to wait at all for me, at least. And I started to play Sudoku, and I can't help myself actually playing that. And apart from that, everything's okay.
Awesome. I hope you deliver well and health.
Thank you.
Mr. Mahmoud would like to go next.
I can step in.
Yep, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Ahmet, and for this nice introduction. And also, I would like to thank Spark for inviting us to this very nice event. I'm very pleased to see many entrepreneurs and also interested young people in establishing their own businesses in the near future or in a later period of their time. My name is Mehmet Üvez. I'm a Turkish national, and I work for the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development for almost 5 years. And previously, I used to work also on the government, Ministry of Treasury. So unlike the rest of my co-panelists, I have never been an entrepreneur myself, but I have been mainly on the financing regulatory part of the table. So it will be, I think, a good mix of the panelists from different angles. And at EBRD, I'm covering Turkey. I'm the principal inclusion lead, which means we are trying to open up economic opportunities for young people, women, people living in less developed regions of our countries of operations, people with disabilities, aging workforce, LGBTI, and also refugees. I mean, this is also a big chunk of our work. So for those who are not familiar with the bank, EBRD is a multilateral development bank established in early 90s. Its headquarters is in London, UK. Currently, there are more than, I think, 70 countries and 2 supranational institutions, European Investment Bank and European Commission as a shareholder. And we are also active in 38 countries of these member countries. So being a shareholder doesn't mean that EBRD is operating in that country. So as of right now, we are operating in 38 countries, from Central Asia, from Mongolia to Poland, from Ukraine to Tunisia, from Jordan to Turkey. So there's a large variety of countries that EBRD is operating in. And we are mainly a project development international financial institution with a strict development object mandate. So what we do is we provide direct lending to private sector or indirect lending through our partner financial institutions, which are mainly banks and other financial institutions. And we also make equity investments directly to private sector companies or through venture capital funds and different schemes of the financial structure. My specific role in EBRD in Turkey's country of operation is to lead these economic inclusion activities of bank. We try to open up these economic opportunities, as I mentioned, to these previously underserved social groups through access to skills and employment pillar, through access to finance and entrepreneurship pillar, and also access to services pillar. So we have 3 different pillars that we try to open up economic opportunities, provide economic opportunities to the listed underserved social groups. So in a nutshell, this is maybe the introduction part. In terms of the COVID days, in Turkey, we are, I think, entering into the second month of the overall, not I can say the lockdown, but with different lockdown curfews. Each week is changing. So during the weekends, we are under curfew. If you are between 20 and 65, during the weekend, you are under curfew. If you are over 65, you are allowed to walk out. Sundays, if you are a youngster, this is your day, Wednesday. So it's a lot of restrictions and exceptions. But the government is recently, I think, easing the restrictions. They recently opened the shopping centers, beauty parlors as of last week. In that sense, both me and my wife, we have 2 kids as well, are working from home. We are somehow lucky in that sense, but with the kids, it's becoming more and more difficult, to be frank. Right now, my kids are 7 and 12 years old. They are half a day taking their online courses, and the rest of the day we are struggling like a jongleur to keep them occupied, also to make their own business operating, which is, I think, very difficult at these times, as many of the, I think, the white collar colleagues will experience. But I mean, I appreciate the days we are in. I think it will be over in the near future. Many thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the introduction and the information. Salim, would you like also to give us a little bit of introduction about yourself, your work as well? That would be great.
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Salim, and thank you for you, Sophia, and for Spark for hosting this and having me. I run an e-commerce platform that help more than 100 artisans or Syrian artisans in Jordan to sell their products worldwide. We started this in 2017, and we managed to pay artisans more than $200,000 until now. Like we currently ship globally, and we're growing the business. We started only as an e-commerce, then we start adding more services to the platform, like taking photos, and now we are more interfering even with the design to have more market fit to the market. Before Sharqi, I had a business in Syria, had to shut it down and move to Jordan. In Jordan, I co-founded a company called ShopGo. ShopGo was an e-commerce platform. It's like a kind of a copy of Shopify for MENA region. So recently, I joined the World Bank as a part-time consultant to help small businesses in Jordan to sell more and to grow also their businesses. We also have a side project, a fintech side project in Luxembourg. We're working on it. And I was actually visiting investors in Europe and got stuck here. And trying to work from home in Europe, so it looks very, very more challenging than I used to hear. And when I hear about people like you, Sufyan, you used to work from home for a while, and I don't know how you're doing it. I have no idea. It's like crazy. It's very challenging, and now we're trying to help artisans to work from home themselves because we need them to keep working on their products, and we're setting up kind of an incubator that I'm teaching them something I can't do it productively myself. It's not productive at all. So I need like to get outside to be in the mindset that I'm working. So as long as I'm inside, it's very challenging to be productive. So this is pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Well, as you said, I've been working from home for a long time, so I kind of get used to it. In a sense, it's been like 5-6 years so far. You will see the value of it. You will see it one day. Again, thanks to everyone for joining the call. Before we go deeper in our discussion, I would like to provide you with some of housekeeping information. So as you are attending, you're probably going to see, you can be able to ask questions. We definitely encourage you all to ask any questions that you guys like, so we can answer those questions, know what you are interested in, and the questions will be there available for me to read it and distribute it to the moderator, to the panelists. If you have a specific questions for a specific panelist, also make sure you tag them. In addition, just down, you will see 3 emojis that's happening that you have. This is kind of also information and a pool. If there is a topic that we are discussing and you find this interesting, please click on the emojis that reflect that. We can be able to see it. We get some people to click on the thumbs up. That's great. because this is going to help us also to know if we're going to continue with this conversation, extend it, go deeper, or maybe move to different topic. So that would be very great things to have. Last things is also we have some pools that we're going to come out, so we can be able to ask you some question, just like this one I sent now, to know if are you productive during the quarantine. So we know people if you are yes, or just like saying you're finding some hard time to be some proactive. It's good also like to give more information from you. So every poll we keep it for a couple of minutes, then we take it out and hopefully we ask you more questions too. Also, we get to know each other. My first question for the panelists, and anyone can jump in to talk about it. As we're talking about the COVID-19, can you give from our perspective what the COVID-19 crisis, what kind of challenges it's added? Do you think it's also can we have an opportunity during the COVID-19, or it's just a crisis? What challenges that will be there, and what opportunity that's opened for the people? Just to give more perspective on your point of view and analysis of the crisis.
I can start if you want.
Yes,
ladies first, but next questions I will give you the word. Crisis times are always, I think, provide some advantages also and opportunities, let's say. So we cannot see this as a only crisis. I think during this COVID-19, we have been all living, we are seeing all the importance of the entrepreneurship actually. For the last 20, maybe 30 years, all the outcome of the entrepreneurships basically depending on the technology and innovation help us today actually to survive in a better way in these outbreak times. We use e-commerce and we don't go out to find some groceries. We use e-learning techniques or tools for our children to keep on their education, and many tools actually, even social media help us. I think to for the outbreak spread less actually comparing the old times. So all of them actually are the outcomes of the entrepreneurships and technology and together with them. So I think this while we are changing the way of our lives in this COVID situation, we will have more opportunities for the entrepreneurship to find new business models, new revenue models, and also the new ways, new tools actually for us to make our lives easier. So this is what I basically think about it.
Awesome. Anyone like also to jump in?
Ahmet, maybe I can go on from our perspective. How do we see it? As now we are living in the true impact stage of the COVID-19 pandemic, it becomes more and more apparent that employers are facing unprecedented challenges in protecting their staff, customers, and while if possible maintaining their operations. So this is how we observe, how we interact with our clients in many of our countries of operations. And in that sense, many questions come to mind. I mean, are these employers, entrepreneurs obliged to pay someone who is self-isolating? How can they facilitate working from home for their employees? What happens if an employee decides that they don't want to risk coming to that kind of work? So these are, I think, all valid questions that our clients and many other prospective clients are asking. So in that sense, we do regular webinars, workshops in different countries of operations, and some of I think the concerns about the HR related issues are how to best manage the workforce in the light of the COVID-19. I mean, what are the options open to business owners when dealing with staffs? What are the privacy considerations for staff member infected with the coronavirus? Should all companies notify the Ministry of Labor about any salary reduction? So all these kind of questions are being discussed in our countries of operations. Our advisory for small business teams are leading these discussions, and based on their feedback, we try to develop operational interventions in different countries of operations. So this is where we are right now. We are mostly in the feedback stage, and recently we have also announced some solidarity package to deal with this, how I say, challenge. In the course of the discussion, I will be sharing all these links and our solidarity package. Thank you as of now.
Awesome, thank you. Well, Salim, I already get to know your answer by answering the poll. You said it's a crisis. Can you also give us more thoughts about the challenges you are facing as building your own company within the crisis?
Yeah, so I think there is both-sided, like there is an opportunity indeed, but the crisis part of it, or for the majority, it's a crisis from the point I'm seeing it. For example, the hundreds of artisans were helping in Jordan. Part of them didn't yet digitalize themselves. So some of them have getting, but very, very small amount of them have been digitalized. So they move some part of their home, some products to work from home. They start receiving shipment from home, start selling them from home. So, but to be fair, for other artisans, for example, the ones who are making wood products, it's not easy to bring work from home to home. So it's for them, it's crisis. They are sitting doing nothing. So from that point of view, we lost a lot of our suppliers. So it's not like the similar of people who are doing pottery, for example, and Tupperware products. So it was our best sellers. Now the workshops are totally closed in Jordan. So it's very challenging to keep growing business and to keep to focus. So for us, it was kind of a crisis also and opportunity. For example, we focused on sanitizer. So I'm here in Europe, and I was shocked, like there is no sanitizers in markets, and that's why and that's why an opportunity for us. Like we could do those type of products in Jordan, and then we shipped them to Europe. So it was a very good pivoting for us, and we tried like to mix things together to make sure we are focusing on the right products. So retailers who orders other products from us shifting to order new products. So the more we manage to come up with the new to listen to the new needs of the market, the more we manage to sell more, actually, because if you're not selling, you will be shutting down the business and going home. So it's mixed for everyone, but it's a small opportunity and very big crisis from the way we're seeing it, especially for countries like Jordan and Syria, maybe, because shutting down it will be or the lockdown is harming the small businesses very, very hard, and we need to find a way to keep supporting them, either through grants or other stuff. Like another opportunity come up for us, like we're partnering with another finance organization to provide our artisans with small grants. So now we have another service we didn't had before. So this is another opportunity. We're having this fintech component of our business, like integrated with their MasterCard, other stuff. So we're trying to support as much as we can, but it's very challenging now without being able to travel. So it's another thing. The most challenging part was canceled investments. So we had, for example, signed a shareholder agreement with an investor who said, I won't transfer any money currently. We will see what will happen next. So this was a shock for us. Like we're waiting for this money, and we were spending as we have a deadline date that funding is coming. So now investors are afraid from more than ever to invest. So this is another challenge, I guess, for all entrepreneurs, or all startups, all business owners. So governments, maybe banks, maybe need to cover these areas, these lost areas, like they need to get direct support, for example, to start up Istanbul, that they can support their startups or other stuff. So for just an example that was good for me, or I'm seeing it as a good example, like the USAID has given like $1 million to an incubator in Jordan, and this incubator is choosing to selecting to give them as a grant or as a convertible note. So this type of movement is not like popular nowadays, but we need to help as much as we can with people who are giving opportunity for employment.
Awesome. Well, thanks for this insight about your actual experience. And in the life rule that we created, 55% of the people think it's a crisis. Although more than 60%, I guess, 70%, they said they are more productive during the quarantine. So it's very much interesting. Before you mentioned two important things, and I think we have the right people to answer. You talked about the events and the networks and the learnings that are coming, and I think Leaf can very much help us to get more of this understanding. And also you talked about the access to finance with Mehmet can also give us a lot of insight. Before I go to this and discuss that specifically with you with the responses, I would like also to ask you one question. Is it the right time for entrepreneurship? As we're seeing some people consider this as a crisis, should we look into innovate, create some new stuff, ask people to create their own businesses and startups, or what's the other options that you think it's available for you? So that will be my also follow-up questions for you all, maybe to answer.
Okay, let me start again. So, well, the entrepreneurship and having a startup is always difficult. I mean, it's one of the most difficult things to do, actually, and all the startup owners would accept that. So even these crisis times are maybe 10 times or 50 times harder for the entrepreneurs. I totally agree with that. It's something that we can all accept, I guess. And we have been holding some interviews with many investors, global investors, actually, since we had to cancel our physical event in April. And we talked like more than 20 global investors, funds, partners, etc. And what we got from them, actually, they all say that if an investor, for example, raised or a VC raised its funds already, they will keep on investing on the startups. But of course, there will be less angel investors around and less money by the companies, etc. That's for sure, because they will all focus on their own core businesses. So it's a good time it's a difficult time for entrepreneurs who will start a business which depends on the capital, actually. Other than that, startups should actually survive this crisis actually only with, of course, taking care of their cost structures and trying to reduce their cost and to make their runway a bit longer than before. And of course, some industries and some domains are more lucky than the others, like, of course, e-commerce, e-learnings, etc. We can say that the demand is higher than usual times, but sure. In the travel industry, there are like thousands of startups who have just nothing to do right now except waiting. So it's really difficult actually for them, and raising funding is always an issue, especially for the countries like us and like developing countries. As I told you, in Startup Istanbul, we are holding the event and we are accepting startups from mainly MENA region and South Asian countries, and like developing countries, let's say, it's there are always a lack of finance and capital for them. So it will be a bit harder actually. All the grants and by the governments, by the countries, especially in this period of time, is really important to reach the related startups actually. What was the other question? I think is that okay?
Yeah, I think that was it. Thank you so much for your thoughts. And also, I would like to also get, Sir Mehmet, your opinion on this. Do you think it's a good opportunity? And if so, why do you believe it's a good opportunity, and what's make it visible? So we get some people also asking, is it a good time for them to start their business? Maybe why? So far, we get more people saying yes than no, but I will ask everyone to add their opinion.
Thank you, Ahmet, again. And as I mentioned in the introduction part, I'm the only non-entrepreneur in the in the panel. So I immediately said yes. Since I didn't try anything, it was easy for me to say it's a good time for entrepreneurship, maybe, without kidding. But no, I think in terms of irrelevant from the time, this crisis time, it's always a good time for entrepreneurship. But what I see more challenging rather than time, because I mean, like always, the previous answers from the attendees show, there are opportunities rather than embedded risk. But the more important thing is where are you gonna start your business? Where will be you operating, in which countries? What are the regions? So in that sense, we believe in the bank that entrepreneurial activity is a key contributor to economic growth, innovation, and development of a market economy in our countries of operations. So this is also shown through the data from our Life in Transition survey that the key things for the entrepreneurship is financial sector development and access to credit. So these are the most important drivers of the entrepreneurship. So I'm taking the case out of the crisis, but I'm focusing, maybe we are a bank, it should be normal that we focus on the finance most importantly, but the data says also that the financial sector development and access to credit are still the most important drivers of the entrepreneurship. So in that sense, also the entrepreneurial activity develops in clusters. An individual is more likely to try and succeed in setting up a business in a region that is already home to many entrepreneurs. So I think this is also relevant with what Elif mentioned in the previous parts. So I think from our region, including Turkey, what we call SMEs, Southeast Mediterranean region, there are a lot of young people who are willing to establish their business under these difficult times. But I mean, together with access to finance, also this clustership is quite important. That's how we see it. So in that sense, I think the international financial institutions' role are quite critical in this crisis time. So together with the governments of our countries of operations, we try to open up these access to finance channels as well as business advisory channels in this crisis time. So from our side, we are already promoting entrepreneurship and access to especially small and micro entrepreneurship finance across different business stage. So we already expanded our engagement with our partner financial institutions, which provide loans to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. So this is something that we are referring that the businesses that has been already been established. So I will talk in a short while about the startups and other similar structures. More broadly, the aim through our partner financial institutions is to provide banking and other financial products as well as business advisory to target groups, who face disproportionate barriers to accessing to the formal financial system. So in that sense, we already develop dedicated credit lines for certain social groups like women, youth, as well as for certain thematic areas. So right now in the crisis time, we try to expand the geographic focus of these credit lines and advisory services in economically less advanced regions of our countries of operations. So some of the examples that we can mention is our Women in Business program. This is a flagship program where we combine the access to finance with the business advisory services. So we open up credit lines with favorable conditions to partner financial institutions in our countries of operations, and then we match this access to finance with real-time business advisory services. And the business advisory services, the cost of these services are majorly, dispersed by the bank's own resources through our donor organizations. Also, we try to strengthen and advance new programs such as Youth in Business, Skills in Business kind of programs. We also integrate the availability of local currency lending into gender-based, regional-based, youth-based credit lines. So without going further, I also would like to mention a specific program. I think my co-panelist Selim can mention a little bit about this program for the startups, accelerators, and consultants to unleash their full potential. The BRD's program called Star Venture program, and under this program we work with small and medium-sized enterprises, and also we try to maximize the impact. We work with startups, accelerators, mentors, and investors. So Star Venture leverages a dedicated network of mentors and advisors to channel a whole range of bespoke advisory services and industry best practices to startups. This is done through workshops, mentoring, and technical assistance. At the same time, our Star Venture Fund helps young companies remove some of the systemic barriers to accessing finance by connecting them to a network of investors with a strategic interest in the early stage space. So without going too much into detail, I will stop here and then give the floor to Selim and welcome any kind of questions in that sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Just also follow-up questions that we get from the attendees. Is those initiatives also they have refugees-led businesses focus? They can apply to them and they can participate to receive the support?
Yes. Sorry, in terms of the time sensitivity, I wasn't able to mention all of our programs. Yes, especially in Turkey, in Jordan, and Lebanon, we have specifically designed a refugee response program for 3 pillars. This is access to services, access to finance, and access to skills and employment part. So in each of these countries, there are different modalities depending on the different needs of the each country and the legislation. But yes, I can share it through our links and then or other presentations. We have specific mentorship program in Turkey. That's what I can give as an example. It's called Tech for Refugees, and we have a designated mentorship program for the technology startup companies established by the Syrian businesses in Turkey. As far as I know, I'm not the operational leader of that specific program, but it was quite successful. I think the first phase has been completed. There will be another round in connection with also large multinational technology companies. So most of these programs are also open to our refugee communities. In Turkey, that's what I can also add. I know we are time sensitive, but we are recently starting on an innovative project. It's called the Digital Identity for the Financial Inclusion of Refugees in terms of access to finance in Turkey and also in similar countries of operations. So we will explore the opportunity to create a digital identity to overcome the credit rating, credit history, know your customer regulations in terms of as a barrier to access to financing issue. So soon you will be hearing about this project as well. Thank you, Ahmet. Hope this is...
Thanks to you. And then I want to go to Salim. I closed the poll. A lot of people that said there's a good time. Not so different, but that was good. But you said no, it's not a good time to start your business. I would like to get your thoughts and opinion. Why not, and how we can improve.
Yeah, sure. So again, it's a yes and no, but it's more than a no. But so,
yeah, I get a comment that I should add maybe. My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So for example, like in Jordan with the full lockdown, that many applications raised and start to do supermarket service or grocery online, and this was a very, very good business for them, and this was a huge move. For example, there we had food ordering application who pivoted directly during the crisis to sell groceries. So this was a good opportunity for them, and this is a good opportunity to start a business. For example, another startup I'm helping in Turkey, they are Syrian who are running a traditional institute to help other Syrians and to provide training for other Syrians. So they pivoted quickly to start providing these services online, and they start making more money because people can't reach out to normal education institutes. So this is where it was good, but also it's very bad. For example, as Elif mentioned, that we can see now grants like most of the support you're getting at very early stage are now not that much. Governments and banks and everyone else are focusing on other crisis problem. Like now you need to be a fully by your own to start a business. You need to get it right 100%. It's like the support you were getting before, the hype about entrepreneur and all of that stuff. It's not the case. Like a startup Istanbul and other events that entrepreneurs go and try to reach investors, they get prices, they get grants. So it's not the case anymore. So this is very, very challenging. I guess if the product is not selling now there is not a huge appetite in the market for investing in startups, and this is my point of view. I hope I'm wrong. So, but I think it's not the best time to start a business. It's not the best time to set up a company. It will be, the risk will be double right now, and I'm not sure about it's the uncertainty about the future is what we can describe. No one knows what will happen tomorrow, how we will act in the future. So it's a small area that, like Zoom, for example, and Zoom now is gain millions of dollars of this situation, but not everyone is providing the Zoom. Like we've seen Kareem in the region, one of the best unicorn that asking 400 employees to leave. Can you imagine how people have paid to hire 440 employees? Then they, how much they will be paying to ask them to leave. Uber is asking 1,500. So in a way, it's a good time. It's a little bit opportunity, but at the same time, it's a huge crisis. We need to stand.
What I understood as well from you is we cannot have the same kind of mentality before the crisis and implement it after the crisis. What good startup used to work very well before, not necessarily they're going to work well after. And this would be my question from Elif. It's just like, in your perspective, what kind of skills or capacity building that we need in the age of the COVID-19 to build on? What's the skills that require the entrepreneurs to focus on for now, or an institute to provide for the people to strengthen their position to gain an opportunity through the crisis?
Yes, thank you for your question. It's a very good question, and I agree with Selim. It's impossible to say that it's the best time to start a business, but actually, entrepreneurs can improve themselves at least during these COVID-19 times and think more about the future needs of the populations, and this outbreak shows us that we all live in one world, and when there's a problem, this affects all of us. So maybe startups or entrepreneurs can start to thinking more globally, actually, about the needs and the new requirements and all of them. Well, since we had to cancel our Startup Istanbul event in April, we had almost 100 startups actually who have already selected and registered to the event, and we started to give them actually one-to-one mentorships for while waiting till October, and we asked them regularly about how their business is going. Some of them, of course, had to stop their business even in a month or so, because their business model wasn't actually appropriate anymore for this situation. So they had to change their own structure, business model, etc., and the way of they doing business. So apart from that, we as I told you, we start live interviews with the global-minded investors. We hosted like Guy Kawasaki, Michael Zyber, the CEO of the Y Combinator, and Derek Andersen. We will host very soon Ben Kasnocha, which is who is also founder of the Village Capital. This kind of global-minded, actually, let's say, investors, actually, to gather them with the startups, and so startups can learn from them and can have new visions, new mindsets, actually, about them. And also, what we do is actually we created a remote acceleration program for all the startups who applied Startup Istanbul before, who can spend this time to learn more or to accelerate more. It's gonna be like 4 weeks program starting on the 1st of June. We want, of course, startups to be more proactive in this crisis time, and they should all how to say, the company or the startup where it is going, they should be aware of that. They should be motivating also their team to be still on the same page, etc. So there are many things that entrepreneurs should do this kind of times, and we are here actually to help them through like our YouTube channel, providing them some free interviews, etc., to for them to learn more.
And how do you see the transfer from offline business, like training, to online? There is like also added value. There's more challenges. How to transition from offline acceleration to online can actually.
Well, of course, it's not like you can get the same output, actually outcome after you just digitalize it or you make it online. You need to think as a 2 different events, actually. And that's why, for example, Startup Istanbul was planned in April in a big hall. It is like 3 days, 4 days event, and people get together most of time and network. But of course, it's impossible if we organize another digital event like 1 day long. It's impossible for all of them, like 4,000 people, to get to know each other actually in a digital event. It's impossible. It's more like one-way communication. So that's why actually instead of the physical event, we decided to provide startups a 4 weeks program, which is full of interviews with investors, so they can know each other, and also one-to-one mentorships. We are and also demo hours. For example, we used to do it. Used to have a demo day of 100 startups as a separate day in Startup Istanbul. But in the remote acceleration, we will do it in the small groups, not like 100 startups will be pitching one and after, but 3 or 4 startups will be pitching to like 5 investors, etc., in small groups. We think actually to make the online events or accelerations actually more efficient, how we can do it for startups, and how we can improve them in these crisis times.
Thank you so much. Setting from startup perspective, attending those programs, what's your feedback? How we can improve the online trainings? What lesson learned from previous experience that you can share as well? Just like very quick, because we almost run out of time.
Yeah, sure. So maybe I can comment about Mehmet, the program he mentioned. So we applied for venture for Star Venture program that's supported by the EBRD, and we managed to be one of the selected company of that program in Jordan. And when the first stage started, they sent us telling us that there is a program now to mentorship. And to be honest, first impression was this is like another mentorship program that we access local mentors like we have them in Jordan. I don't need a program for that. But I was surprised to have like very, very good names in that list, global names actually, like founder of Udemy on this list, and you can talk to them directly and asking them about business, and many great entrepreneurs and great investors. So now we are getting very, very good benefits from EBRD program. This was, and I encourage anyone to apply for that program, one of the best. In general, to be honest, like generally speaking, organization need to listen more to startups to customize the program for them. So EBRD program is great, but in general, previous impression or previous experiences were like not all startups are or the need of startups are not studied well when they design a program, when they design. So I guess the organization need to get one more step, like to understand the audience, like similar to what we're doing in startup, like we try to understand the customer or the audience. So and design programs that will be more benefited. But in general, programs are very good opportunities to get more benefits, and it opens eyes for other opportunities, and networks is very good when you are an entrepreneur.
Awesome, thank you so much. Any final thoughts from the panelists, Mr. Mohammed, would like to add? I get a lot of comments, people asking to share the links for the programs. So hopefully, if we're going to be able to share it here, we can maybe send it to Spark, send it in email to everyone who participated in this group.
Yeah, Ahmet, this what I was going to ask. Maybe I couldn't manage, but I was seeing all the questions and comments. Many thanks, but somehow I couldn't manage to paste the links. Maybe it's my inability, lack of the digital skills, I mean. But or later I will do it as a package, and all the programs that I have mentioned, I will be putting in a folder. Also, I can echo my colleagues as a non-entrepreneur on these online programs. Like many of the other institutions, we are trying to also adjust ourselves, these mentoring programs, online coaching programs to digital. I think some pilots have been done already, but there will be a large scheme for the our advisory services that will be implemented through a platform that's already being tested in Ukraine. So I think it will be covering the whole EBRD's countries of operations. And I will also send the pilot website for that platform. But from our perspective, maybe we can also discuss that, mention shortly. So transferring these courses online, mentorship programs online, I think makes it easier to diagnose the needs of the entrepreneurs, mentees, and the needs. So it will be better from the organization perspective to better understand, to get more data, reliable data, and then make the decisions and develop the program accordingly. So in terms of monitoring and evaluation, it will also be easy setting up the KPIs. That's what I want to mention. And as I mentioned, we will be sharing the links through Spark. And also in Turkey, we are in discussion with Spark for a new program for young people. I cannot give the details fully right now, but you will be hearing, I think, in a couple of months. Thanks a lot.
Well, thanks to you, and thanks for Alif. Also, if you can share the link for the programs for the pre-acceleration program, that would be great.
Yes.
I'm sure this is the best session ever that we have, so please vote for our session. I would like also to ask the last couple of seconds our the question panelists. I also have like announcement to share with you all that today I published in collaboration with the Spark a survival guide for refugees and startups. It's very comprehensive and detailed guide for people who's building their startups during this conflict and the crisis situation. So go ahead to the website spark.ngo. We're going to share the link with you all as well, where you can be able to get access to the survival guide in both Arabic and English. I was very much honored to be moderator of this panel and have the conversation with all of the distinguished panelists that we have together. Your thought and opinion and inspired me and hopefully inspired all of the attendees. Hopefully the conversation will not end here. We're going to continue through the other sessions that we're going to have today and tomorrow at this online conference and also in social media if you would like to connect with the panelists through LinkedIn or directly and through an email. Thanks again for you all for participating and joining us in this session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmet. Startups can apply through startupistanbul.com, and also they can see all the live interviews at Startup Istanbul YouTube channel.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Well, see you next time.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And also happy Eid for everyone.
Yeah.
Katala Bayram, this is how you say it in Turkish?
Yeah, Bayram.
Bayram.
Bayram. Yeah, that's.
It's easy. It's easy one. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.